I'm Carrington Peterson, originally born in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I come from a household of three lovely kids. I'm the baby, so I'm the spoiled little brat, as they say. I grew up in a church. My grandfather was a pastor, so I grew up singing and playing the piano at a very young age. Fast forward, I went to college in Hampton, Virginia at Hampton University, where I studied in business administration and participated in multiple extracurricular activities, such as the student leadership program, gospel choir, community service organizations, mentorship programs, just juggling a lot, but doing what I can to be a valuable asset to wherever I can. And then during my time at Hampton, I got an internship in London at Elstree Studios in summer 2018, where I did product and prop placement for a studio company. So that's where they film like The Crown, Dancing with the Stars, Love Island, just a few to say the least. And it was a really great experience. I got to communicate with production designers and talk to them and explain to them why our products and why our clients should be placed on their shows or in their movies. So it was a really great opportunity that I'm so grateful for. And then I just knew deep down in my heart I would end up back in London somehow, some way. I initially wanted to do my master's in Hampton. However, Hult sent me a booklet. They were really aggressive in their marketing strategies, and they caught my attention. And I always manifested that I would be back in London. So I kind of thought that was a sign and that it was just meant to be. And even during these trying circumstances, I moved across the world. I'm 5,000 miles away from Vegas, so I'm pretty far, but that's how I ended up in London. And, I don't regret any of my decisions that I've made thus far. I'm definitely getting a London experience. However, it's a melting pot here. So I'm getting to experience so many different, cultural backgrounds and cultural views. And I think that's really important because you're never going to be put in a position where everyone is like-minded and everyone thinks one way. So I think it's really imperative to be surrounded by that environment. I know Hult London operates a little differently from the campuses in the United States. So I'm told. My best friend goes to Hult Boston. So I'm kind of seeing the contrast in the campuses and how they operate. Nevertheless, we're both receiving an excellent, rewarding education. But I do think that I'm getting a little taste of everything. And I've met some Americans, but I've also met people from Italy and from Brazil. And it's an abundance of culture and a little bit of culture shock as well. But I think that's important because it helps you develop a better mentality to understand cultural intelligence as well. I'm studying to get my master's in international business, and I love the structure of the program. So it's something that I haven't been used to. I'm not used to. Every 2 weeks, a class changes. So I started off taking leadership for 2 weeks, and I solely focused on leadership. Then I moved to project planning and execution for 2 weeks. And then I moved to marketing, and now I'm in data and decisions. So I really respect Hult for this structure. I think it's their first time doing it because they were so successful doing it last summer during their summer courses. And with everything going on, I think it made more sense to do it this way. And it gives us an idea to just have that scope on that one topic and how do I say it? And really, what's the word I'm looking for? Solidify our knowledge in that topic and then move on to the next and have a concrete understanding of the value of that subject so we can apply it to whatever skills, professional or personal, we may face. So yeah. I don't know if it was Hult's intention to have them all connect, but I do find myself personally connecting. For example, the week before last, I was enrolled in the marketing course. And this week, I'm analyzing data from a company, and I have to I have to identify solutions to make their sales increase and to see opportunities to where they can do better as a company. And by having the marketing knowledge that I gained from the past 2 weeks, I'm able to say, oh, they need to target this demographic segmentation. They need to be able to increase their sales by, in January, maybe having a new year, new resolution commercial or advertisement. So I'm able to apply like what I learned in the essence of timing and the essence of segmentation and the essence of target markets into data and decisions, and make my solution that I develop more concrete and more stable because I have that knowledge that I gained 2 weeks ago. So I think that's how it connects, but you have to pay attention. You know, some people may not think that they learned anything, and they're looking at the data analysis and trying to figure it out, and they don't understand. But if you think about it, you're really learning as you go to help you prepare for the next door that's going to open for you. So I personally think they connect. And I think at the end, it'll be rewarding to see all the knowledge that we learned and how we can apply it into the professional world. I'm not sure, you know, what the future holds for us, but so far we've been writing papers that are between 50% and 60% of our grade. That is our individual assignment. And it shows you what you've learned, and it shows if you really understand the material. Your grade reflects if you understand the material that you learned in the course for the past 2 weeks. And we also have team projects. So we're developing teamwork, and that's where the cultural intelligence and emotional intelligence is definitely applicable in these circumstances, because you're working with people. For example, my team consists of a guy from Amsterdam, a girl from Asia, a guy from Germany. So we're all a mix of fun and spice to bring to the table. And it challenges you. It lets you identify your strengths and your weaknesses, because as a team, you may operate differently than you do individually. So it definitely gives you a nice way of judging how to move forward when it comes to people being affected, other than yourself individually being affected. So we have presentations for our team projects. We have to do write-up reports for our team projects. And then in addition to that, we have individual papers that we also have to submit as well. From what I've heard, a lot of people, or some people, have their bachelor's in international business. So there are some Hult undergraduate students in my cohort. One of my friends, he has a history background, so he doesn't have a business background at all. Another friend of mine, her background is in biomedicine. So some people definitely took a big jump for their reasons, their personal reasons. I couldn't elaborate on. And then you have some people that are business administration backgrounds like myself. So I think we all connect some way, somehow. It's about 70 people in the class. However, they break it up, or I think it's 64. So they break it up. Half is every other day, and the other half is every other day, and because of COVID restrictions. So there can only be, I think, a max of 35 students in the class, because we sit every other seat. So that's what the class profile looks like. And again, like, many backgrounds, many people from everywhere, all over the world. So they bring a lot of knowledge. Even if it's not business, I think it can still be transformed and transitioned to be applied with the material we're learning. I think what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And Dean Sam told us, it's at times when we have constraints where we're tested the most, or we can develop to be the strongest people that we can be. I think this is nothing short of a blessing to still be here in COVID times. And the downfall is not being able to go to class every day. Although some days you can wake up and say, oh, great, I don't have to physically be there. At the same time, there is some kind of disconnect, because Wi-Fi issues, you don't know what can happen in your building or what can happen at Hult. So to have that kind of disconnect, you're not there personally. It's very similar to if you attended a concert personally in the stadium or online. You're gonna have a different experience. You're gonna encounter differently, but life is what you make it. So I think for the future Hult students, whether they come in COVID times or not COVID times, make the best of it. So although you may be in class every other day, connect with your professors, show them that you're just as engaged if you were there 100% physically or not. Don't show them that in times of constraints, you fall, or at times of constraints, you think that it's time to make excuses. This is the time where you're being watched the most, and they want to see who their valuable assets are or who their liabilities are. And I think it's more important to focus on being an asset than a liability in this case. And you never know how rewarding it can be afterwards. Like your teacher could say, "Oh, I remember you, Carrington. You were the girl that emailed me 5 times from Monday to Wednesday asking about the material." But it shows that you're engaged no matter what may come your way. When you continue the same habits, you will continue to receive the same results. By moving out of Las Vegas, Nevada, I was exposed to so much. So perspective and exposure. When you change your environment, you get to understand how people move differently. I think that's imperative because you may think, "Oh, I can build a house this way," because that's all you were told or taught how to do. And then you go down the street and you see that they build the same house, but they use different types of layers and they use different types of marble. And there's just so many ways to look at life. But when you're set in stone in one place, your focus is fixed. And I think that's one thing that Hult definitely promotes, is having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And by leaving Las Vegas, just to go to Virginia, I had a completely different mindset. And then moving from Las Vegas to London, it was transformed like in the most inexplicable ways. So I think I learned a lot about perspective. I learned a lot about flavor in different foods, which is great because I love to eat. And I learned that there's different ways that the education system can teach their students if they really care about them. Because in the US, I found myself struggling more because I had to juggle so many things. Yes, it taught me how to multi-balance and have to challenge myself to have to handle more things at once. But I like that here in London, I have a different perspective on learning. I can understand material and have a concrete, definition of something, because I feel like I've learned so much in the past 2 months than I did in undergrad, because the material never retained in my mind. But here at Hult it is. So I don't know if that's me paying attention more, but I don't think so, because I give my 100% energy to everything I do. So I definitely think, changing your perspective, getting out of the city that raised you and seeing what more the world has to offer will be more rewarding than you can even imagine. The teachers, for one, at Hult, they have their greatest intention is for you to succeed. I can't say that I didn't experience that in America. I had great teachers, but I do think it comes down to the teacher, but also the student. Just like in a game, it's the pitcher as well as the catcher. You have to work together as a team to reach your goal, and everyone wants to succeed. The teachers at Hult, they are really good with providing like great visuals. I'm a visual learner. So having, for example, in marketing, bringing dog food to the class to show you that one brand and a different brand have the same ingredients, but because of their brand awareness, one might be better or viewed better or costs more, and one may be more cost effective, but you go for the one that's more expensive because of the brand, and showing me physically the power of branding. That's a technique that I had never experienced just by simply bringing in dog food. It's really the little things. So the people and the professors really have they want what's best for you. My data and decisions professor, he brings the most energy. And when you have children, especially my generation in particular, in a seat for 2 hours or 3 hours, you have to hold their attention and remain engaging, or else we're not going to retain any information and we're not going to perform well. And when a class doesn't perform well, that's reflected on the teacher as well. So again, it's pitcher and catcher. We're all working together. And even the people like the student personnel, I don't think anyone thinks of themselves higher than or puts themselves on a pedestal, because we all want to graduate. We all have the same condition. We're going to school in a pandemic, and so many people judged us for it. But here we are fighting through the battles and making it to the wars and succeeding to be on top. I felt prepared. I had a friend that went to Hampton who went to Hult Dubai. So I had that connection already. So he kind of gave me the inside scoop on Hult, even though it was a different campus, still the mission and the integrity overall. And then my mother, being the woman she is, she asked every question you can think of to make sure that her daughter, who she's sending across the world, is prepared, whether it was financial situations or financial circumstances, housing, distance from walking to the school, closest grocery stores to my school, what the inside of the school looked like, who the associates were, who the dean was. My mom, she's the best mom in the world. And she made sure I was prepared. So I think that goes to say, perhaps Hult never said how prepared you should be. And maybe that's when you should take it to the matters of yourself to really evaluate, hey, how much am I going to spend every week? How much am I going to spend? I have a budget that I abide by. I had to take out loans. How much loans am I going to have to take out? So Hult doesn't really break it down for every person personally because it's different. So I think for a prospective student, be prepared as much as you can be, because there are many classmates of mine that didn't know half of the things I did. And it's not that the resources weren't there, it's just that they didn't go looking for them. You can't expect Hult to tell you every single thing, just like a job isn't going to tell you every single thing. Some things you have to do your own research on, and some things you have to put in the works to prepare for yourself, because you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, basically. And when you're already ready, then you're prepared for whatever ball or anything may be tossed your way. So just be prepared and be ready to go over and beyond, and you will come out on top.